15 seconds. That's exactly how much time passes between the moment money hits your account and the moment your brain launches a budget self-destruction program. I'm not kidding. TikTok. 15 seconds. Your brain is a brilliant saboteur, trained by years of evolution and thousands of commercials. In those 15 seconds, it's already calculated how much you can spend on a new gadget, how many times you can order takeout to avoid cooking, and how to cleverly justify buying those sneakers that have been sitting in your online cart since last week. I deserve this, it whispers. Work was hard, it agrees. Hi, I'm Hamster. And yes, I know what you're thinking. A hamster on a wheel, always running and getting nowhere. Typical office drone. But I'm here to tell you how to get off that damn wheel. Not just get off, but dismantle it for parts and sell them at a profit. For the last 10 years, all I've done is study the psychology of money and behavioral finance. I've helped people stop being those hamsters who burn their paycheck in 15 seconds and then wonder why the safety net never inflates. If you're tired of guessing where your money disappears every month, spoiler, not into a black hole, but into a bottomless pit called small expenses. If you want to not just survive until the next paycheck, but actually build capital, even with a modest salary, you're in the right place. Hit subscribe, hit like, because today we're breaking down a step-by-step system that will turn your paycheck from an enemy that comes and goes into a best friend that stays over and even makes you coffee in the morning. You know what a sleepwalker is? It's someone who walks in their sleep. They get up, wander around, even do things, but they're completely unaware of reality. Their brain is off. The body runs on autopilot. Well, 90% of people are financial sleepwalkers. And I'm not talking about the homeless or the destitute. I'm talking about regular people with normal salaries who get paid and then operate on autopilot. This autopilot was programmed over years by advertising, social media, childhood habits, and societal pressure to live in the moment. Think about that number, $18,000 a year. That's not a mortgage, not food, not medicine. It's money that vanishes into thin air. Takeout coffee, subscriptions you don't use, impulse buys during sales, delivery fees to treat yourself because Monday is a hard day. These people know that rent somehow gets paid, food magically appears in the fridge, and the Netflix subscription automatically debits like magic. But ask them a week after payday, how much do you have left until the next paycheck? And you'll see empty eyes, because the money has evaporated. They didn't buy anything major, no car, no apartment, not even a new phone. The money just dissipated like morning fog. Here's a simple, even primitive analogy. Your financial life is a bucket. Most people carry water to this bucket their whole lives, but there's a hole in the bottom. They pour water in, earn money, and it leaks out, gets spent on nonsense. And they're genuinely surprised. Why is the bucket always empty? I carried so much water. The secret of successful people isn't that they have a bigger bucket or carry water faster. The secret is that they plugged the hole. They have a system that prevents money from leaking away without a trace. A system that turns the bucket into a storage tank. And this system starts in those 15 seconds after your paycheck hits. You used to be a sleepwalker. I'm offering you a chance to wake up. Want to know how this system works? Then buckle up, we're moving to the first hardest step. Most people approach budget planning from the wrong end. They look at what's left after paying rent and loans and say, oh, I have $300 left. That's my money. What should I spend it on? They see this money as free cash, a gift from fate. Successful people, people who build wealth, start with a different, much harsher question. They ask themselves, what can I literally not live without? What would I die without? Sounds dramatic? Maybe, but it's the foundation of financial hygiene. The necessities list, non-negotiables, housing, rent or mortgage payment. Not your dream home, but a roof over your head. Food, basic food to sustain life. Groceries you cook yourself, not restaurants. Transportation, the minimum needed to get to and from work, not daily taxis. Utilities, electricity, water, gas, heating, internet. Internet is now a basic need. Health, prescription medications, minimum insurance, doctor visits if absolutely necessary. Minimum debt payments, the amounts you must pay to keep your credit history from imploding. This is called the survival threshold, or basic operating expenses. Your task is to calculate what percentage of your net income, what hits your card, goes to this list. Not for comfort, not for I deserve it, but for bare survival. Let's use a real example. To be concrete, let's take a typical situation. Say you take home $3,000 per month after taxes, just for easy math. Rent, $1,200. Groceries, cooking at home, no frills. $400. Commute, subway/bus/minimum gas. $150. Utilities plus internet. $200. Minimum debt payments, let's assume. $250. Let's add it up. 1,200 plus 400 plus 150 plus 200 plus 250 equals $2,200. 73% of your income goes to things you literally cannot function without. This is where we need brutal honesty with ourselves. If your necessary expenses exceed 60 to 70% of your income, you're in the yellow or even red zone. You have very little room to maneuver. You're not exactly poor, but you're trapped. Any unexpected event, a broken fridge, an unplanned trip to the dentist, knocks you off balance and pushes you into debt. Up to 50%, green zone. You have space for investments and savings. 50 to 70%, yellow zone. You live paycheck to paycheck. The slightest crisis puts you in the red. Above 70%, red zone. You're in danger. You urgently need to either increase income or decrease expenses. This is survival mode. The first step of our system isn't magic, it's accounting. Write these numbers down. Not in your head, not in phone notes, but in an Excel sheet or a notebook. It's like a pilot checking the instruments before takeoff. If the pilot waves off checking the altimeter, the plane might take off, but will it land safely? Big question. You can't go further without this step. Once you've covered the basics and know your red line, it's time to think about something you can't see but that follows you everywhere. Your financial reputation. In the world of money, your reputation is your credit score. This number has no smell, you can't see it in the mirror, but it silently conducts your life like an invisible orchestra conductor. Want to rent a great apartment in a nice neighborhood? The landlord will check your credit history. Want a car loan at 5% instead of 20%? Credit score. Want a credit card with good cash back and miles? Credit score. Even some employers, especially in finance, check it during hiring. It's your digital passport. And here's the main catch, where the system is especially cruel. One missed payment can destroy years of flawless history. You forgot one credit card payment because you were binging a show. You thought, I'll pay it next month. And that's it. Your score drops. Now any future loan will be at a higher rate. You become a risky borrower. Banks start to fear you, and they compensate for fear with interest rates. So the rule is ironclad, non-negotiable. Before you spend money on entertainment, restaurants, and new sneakers, make sure all minimum payments on loans and debts are made on time. I'm not saying you need to pay off the entire debt right now, especially if it has a crazy high interest rate. We'll talk about that later. It's a separate strategy. For now, the task is simpler and more important. Just don't let the system punish you. Don't ruin your reputation because of stupid forgetfulness. I know this sounds boring. Paying bills isn't shopping, it's not sexy, it doesn't trigger a dopamine rush, but it's like brushing your teeth. No one applauds you when you pick up the toothbrush in the morning, but if you stop doing it, the consequences will be fatal, painful, and very expensive. Your teeth will fall out, your credit history will too. Now we get to the most important fundamental step that 90% of people ignore, preferring to jump straight into the world of investments and get rich quick schemes. This isn't about Tesla stock. It's about that hole in the bucket. It's about creating the plug. Imagine a circus performer walking a tightrope over an abyss. Below are sharp rocks, no safety net. Any gust of wind, any mistake, and they're dead. That's your life without a financial safety net. You depend on every paycheck like that tightrope walker depends on every step. Car breaks down, you fall. Get sick, you fall. Boss fires you, you crash. Let's calculate for our test subject. We determined their basic expenses, necessities, at $2,200 per month. Minimum safety net, $2,200 times 3 equals $6,600. Comfortable safety net, $2,200 times 6 equals $13,200. But Hamster, you'll say now, that's a lot of money. $6,000, $13,000. Where am I supposed to get that? I live paycheck to paycheck. I hear you. I understand. And that's exactly why we're talking about a system, not a magic pill. You won't save this in a month. You won't save it in 2. But you can save it in a year or a year and a half if you follow the plan and every month after payday, you set aside a certain fixed percentage. Even if you start with 5% of your income, $150 a month, in 3 years you'll have about $5,400. That's almost a minimum safety net. If you can save 10%, $300 a month, you'll reach the goal in about 22 months, less than 2 years. And here's the main secret, the psychological trick. While you're building the safety net, you're automatically learning to live on 90% or 95% of your income. Your brain, your daily life, your habits adapt to the new reality. And when the safety net is finally in place, you won't even notice that 5 to 10% is no longer blowing away in the wind. It's just not spent. Your standard of living hasn't dropped, but your peace of mind has skyrocketed. By the way, interest on the safety net doesn't matter at all. This isn't an investment, it's insurance. Don't chase yield. Put the money in a regular high-yield savings account or a CD with no penalty for early withdrawal. Your goal isn't to multiply it, but to keep it accessible. And forget about it until a real, genuine, oh shit emergency happens. Once you have a safety net, or at least half of it, the main thing is the process has started, you can start playing offense. And the first target in this game is money that someone is willing to give you for free. No strings attached, that is, a gift. Looks absurd, right? Who in their right mind would refuse a stack of money their boss is handing them? But in real life, this happens all the time. I'm talking about corporate retirement plans with employer matching. In many companies, there's a rule. If you put part of your salary into a retirement fund, the company will add the same amount up to a certain percentage of your salary. If your employer is willing to double your retirement contributions and you're not taking advantage of it, you're not just losing money, you're actively refusing it. This is a guaranteed 100% return on investment at the moment of contribution. No investment instrument in the world, not Warren Buffett, not Elon Musk, can offer you that. It's just free money. Even if you have loans at 20 to 30% APR, employer matching is more beneficial. Why? Because it's an instant, guaranteed plus 100% on the amount you put in. You'll be paying off that loan for years, and the interest accrues over time. Here, the money doubles right here, right now. So the priority is this. First, take the free money, the match, then everything else. If you don't have such a program, skip this step and move on. But if you do, don't be that employee in the skit. Take what's yours. It's not greed, it's financial literacy. Now that the free money is collected and the safety net is growing, it's time to deal with what's dragging you down like an anchor, consumer debt. Besides your mortgage, that's a different story, don't touch it yet. All other debts are parasites on your budget. They need to be killed, and there are two main strategies, two camps, two paths. Strategy 1, the avalanche. This is the choice of mathematicians, pragmatists, people with iron logic. You take all your debts and start paying off the one with the highest interest rate first. Doesn't matter if it's small or huge. If your credit card is at 28% and your laptop loan is at 15%, you throw all your extra money at the credit card. Pro, you save the most money on interest in the long run. Con, if that debt is huge, you could be hammering away at it for years without seeing much progress. This can be demotivating. Strategy 2, the snowball. This is the choice of psychologists, and I'm in this camp. You take your debts and start paying off the smallest one by amount first, regardless of the interest rate. Paid off a $500 debt, hooray, victory. Paid off the next $1,500 debt, another victory. Pro, you constantly feel progress. It gives you energy, motivation, dopamine. You see the system working. Con, mathematically, you might pay a tiny bit more in interest. I'm for psychology. Personal finance is 80% behavior and only 20% math. You can be a genius and optimize every cent, but if you burn out after 6 months and give up, your math is worthless. If you pay off a small debt in 3 months, you'll feel such a surge of energy that you'll attack the next one with double the force. Victory breeds victory. Choose your method, either avalanche or snowball. But the main thing is to choose and attack systematically. Every dollar you put toward early repayment is an investment in your debt-free future. It's an increase in your monthly cash flow. As soon as a debt disappears, you have free money that used to go to interest. You can then direct that toward investments. We've reached the final, most important, most critical step. Without it, our whole structure, all these beautiful steps, will collapse like a house of cards as soon as your willpower runs out. And it will run out. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Willpower is not an infinite resource. It's the battery in your phone. In the morning, after a good sleep and a cup of coffee, it's at 100%. You're full of determination. Today, I will count every penny. By evening, after a hard day, a conflict with a colleague, and traffic, you're at 5%. And in that state, you open the food delivery app and the online store app. You cannot rely on yourself, tired and angry, every evening to remember your financial goals and make the right choices. You won't. No one will. It's not weakness, it's physiology. You need to make money move where it needs to go without your participation, without your willpower, on autopilot. The simple scheme. Payday. Salary hits your main account. The next day, or that same evening, set up automatic payments and transfers. Transfer number 1, X% to a savings account, safety net. Transfer number 2, X% to an investment account, into an index fund. Transfer number 3, X% for early debt repayment, or to a separate account for this. Auto payments, utilities, internet, minimum debt payments, everything is set up to debit automatically. You won't even see this money. It will disappear from your field of vision before your inner hamster wakes up and starts nagging you to buy that shiny thing over there. The money is gone toward your goals and you forget about it. You live on what's left. When I first set up a system like this, I was shocked. It turns out I'm not a spendthrift. It's just that all the money used to sit in plain sight in my main account tempting me. They screamed, "Spend me, buy pizza, subscribe to one more service." As soon as I took them out of sight, the urge to spend dropped dramatically. But you know what's the hardest part of this whole system? Not the math, not calculating percentages, not finding that extra 5 to 10% in your budget. The hardest part is the first month, and the second, and the third. Because the system is boring. It's routine. It doesn't give instant dopamine, doesn't bring the joy of discovery. Buying new sneakers gives dopamine here and now. Ordering tasty food brings pleasure in 40 minutes, but transferring money to an account you can't touch, that's torture. It's giving up pleasure today for a ghostly happiness in the future. Your brain will resist. It will come up with 1,000 reasons why today you don't have to save. I'm stressed. I need to treat myself. It's my friend's birthday. I need to buy a more expensive gift. The exchange rate is crazy. I need to buy something before the money loses value. But it's right here, in this struggle, that growing up happens. You stop being a slave to the moment, a slave to your impulses, and start becoming the master of your own future. Every time you choose the system over instant gratification, you take a step toward freedom. I want you to remember one simple but very profound idea. Rich people differ from poor people not in the size of their salary or the color of their yacht. They differ in the length of the pause between the moment money arrives and the moment it is spent. Poor and financially illiterate people spend immediately. As soon as money hits the account, they're already looking for something to spend it on. The pause is 0 seconds. Rich people, people who build wealth, insert a pause. They say, stop. First, I pay myself. First, I send money to work. First, I protect my future. And with what's left, I can think. That 15-second pause we talked about at the beginning, that's the moment of choice. The moment when you decide who you'll be today, a hamster on a wheel or a person building their future. I hear this question too. I know many of you are thinking right now, Hamster, you're talking about percentages and safety nets, but I have maybe $50 left between paychecks if I'm lucky. Your system isn't for me. Yes, it looks different for you, but it works for you too. The steps are just different and more brutal. 1. Radical audit. If you have very little money, you cannot afford the luxury of buying groceries at the corner store. You cannot afford delivery. You cannot afford subscriptions. You need to go into survival mode. This is temporary, but at this stage, you're not looking for 10% to invest. You're looking for $20 that you can claw back from the budget to start paying off the smallest debt. 2. Income is king. When you have little money, frugality is only effective up to a point. You can't save your way to $1 million by skipping coffee. You need to urgently increase your income. Any side hustle, any temporary work, freelancing, delivery, tutoring, everything counts. The goal isn't to rest, it's to break through the ceiling. 3. Psychological help. If you have debts and a low salary, you're in stress. And when you're stressed, your brain makes even stupider decisions. Look for free counseling, support groups, nonprofits that help with debt. You're not alone. This is a systemic problem and it can be solved. The system I've described works at any income level. Just at a low income, the steps are microscopic and the results aren't visible as quickly. But if you don't start now, in a year you'll have even less. We've covered a massive system. Let's summarize it in a short checklist that you can put on your fridge or save in your notes. Calculate your necessary expenses. Find your survival threshold as a percentage. Be honest. On payday, within the first 15 minutes or right after, make sure all minimum debt payments are made. Protect your reputation. Set up an automatic transfer to your safety net. Start with any percentage, but start right now. 3 to 6 months of expenses is your goal. Take the free money from your employer. If there's a match, contribute the max. Attack your debts. Choose avalanche or snowball and fight systematically until only your mortgage remains. Automate all transfers. Remove yourself from the equation. Make getting rich easy even while you sleep. This isn't magic. It's not a pill. It's simple, boring, but foolproof mechanics. It works if you follow it. It turns chaos into system and panic into calm. I'm Hamster, and I truly believe you can get off that damn wheel and build the life you dream of, not the one dictated by circumstances. If this video was helpful to you, if you found even one thought that resonated, share it with a friend who's always complaining about not having enough money. Send them the link. Maybe you'll be the one who helps them wake up and stop their financial sleepwalking. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new episodes. In the next video, we'll break down how to invest your first hard-earned $1,000 without losing it on day one and getting permanently disillusioned with the idea of investing. Thanks for watching until the end. It's a long conversation, but an important one. See you.